Welcome back to Exquisitely Aligned, where we empower you to be your finest self and live your finest life, because we each know that although we're taught to look outside of ourselves for the answers, whether it be on Google or, if you're as old as I, the encyclopedia, transformation is an inside job. And I'm delighted to introduce you today to Hina Siddiqui, an Indian woman with wings. She has been with me before, and I've been able to be a guest on her show. She is an award-winning corporate life coach, the author of 5 nonfiction books, soon to be, 6, right? Including Multidimensional Success, Design, A Career You Love, and Secrets of the Six-Figure Employee with Zero Stress, and the podcast host of the Corporate Life Podcast. If there is one thing she could change in the world, it would be how working professionals live and do their jobs. Hina teaches and writes about creating a career vision and personal mastery to achieve that based on the holistic yoga approach. She is a lover of yoga, guitars, trees, wind, and the food that her mom cooks. When she's not working on her passion projects, Hina spends her time reading, taking solo trips, chit-chatting with strangers, and cooking for her favorite kids, her niece and nephew. I'm Gina Meyer-Vincent, your host with Exquisitely Aligned, and I want to welcome you, Hina, to coming back and chatting with us today.
Thank you very much, Gina, for inviting me once again. It's such a pleasure to meet you every time I do, and and we have a blast together.
Yes, it's such a pleasure for me. We certainly do. There are so many common threads. It's very exciting. And for those of you who don't know, not only is Hina an Indian woman with wings, she is coming to us from India. And so it's one of my favorite things about being able to podcast is meeting amazing people from around the world and also connecting in a way that's deeper, richer, and more meaningful, and having transparent conversations like we have. So Hina, you do so many different things so beautifully. And today I wanted to speak about a couple of things. When we had a conversation recently, you had mentioned something that I love, and it was about having no expectations. And I know when you said that, you didn't mean that you just walk around expecting the worst. But can you explain for us, what does that mean, and how does that help you, your clients, live a fuller and less stressful life? Because sometimes people go around with such high expectations that they don't welcome in things that can be even greater than what they were expecting. So if you can give a voice to that, that would be fabulous.
Sure, that's such a wonderful thing to talk about. I have always said that when we attach too many expectations to anything, out of anything, we want some outcome. Before we are doing anything, we don't enjoy the task on hand, and we, set out to achieve an outcome. And we make ourselves so attached to the outcome that we lose the joy of being in the task. So every task that you do, first of all, I always say that you need to do what you love to do. And then it's easier for you to enjoy your work than focused on, stay focused on the outcome. So this is so important. And how it helped me is, I would like to give you a few examples here. Sure. That recently, I think I told you when we met last time on a casual conversation, I did a press release because I wanted to, test that out for me, like how it works and how can I reach more and more people. And I, joined a 3-day challenge of a great person, and I wrote my press release on a Sunday. And then I was feeling very excited about it. I was feeling very joyful about it. I did not have any expectation. I was just doing it for the joy of doing it. And, it just came out very well. I liked it, but still I was not expecting anything. And the next day I submitted that press release to a distribution network site. And to my surprise, I got this that this story was picked up by over 241 publications worldwide, and I was like, oh my god, how did it happen? It was so much unexpected. I did not expect it. So this is something, I'm not a media expert. I'm not a press release writing expert. So, but that it just somehow clicked. So I see that when you do something just casually for the joy of doing it, the kind of emotions that you put into it, it gets the result because your energy precedes you. This is what I love to say again and again. When we put that energy into the task, then the kind of results that we get, the results surprise us. Like were not expecting it. It's happening. And then you have nothing but being grateful for what happened, like for the results that happened. That's what I always, ask my clients to do. That don't set any expectations. Don't think that, okay, you are going to double your paycheck in the next 6 months. You are going to do that when you stay unattached to what you want, right? But when you are it's just like when you are, sowing a seed and you are so attached to it. When will it grow up? When will it grow up? Right? You lose every single, moment of joy that's associated with it. So it's like, put it, forget it, and rest, get back to life, start enjoying your life as you normally would. So I love that. I love doing that. And this is what I have learned to do it. It was not easy for me to do it.
It never is. It definitely never is. I've had that journey myself, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Hina. It's sometimes it sounds so easy to make a statement like that in just a few words, detached from the outcome, but oftentimes I see people go, what? How do you do that? So that story is so perfect. And I mean, press releases are definitely not my favorite thing to do. I don't do them for joy like you set out to do. And, but it could be even cleaning your house, I'll never forget years ago, I had a beautiful yoga student who, in speaking to me, she said, I think it was via email or text, I'm playing domestic goddess right now, blah, 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 thank you for whatever I had sent her. And I was like, domestic goddess? What is that? Never heard of that. How do you play domestic goddess? She said, I put on Zumba music. I get out my vacuum, my broom, my dust cloth, my glass cleaner. And I become, the cleaning lady who dances around the house. And I thought to myself, taking a simple task and then making it fun. You were talking about making sure you're having fun. And I think that no matter what we're doing, next time I do a press release, I'll make sure I channel in my inner Hina so that I can do like you. But, detaching from the outcome is something that I taught for a long time in yoga, and I know you as well. And, it does become that magical that you go to sleep and you wake up to, I think you said 241. I'm sure they're still coming in, publications. And what I don't know that you said when we just spoke, but around the world.
Yes.
They were not just within your local area, they were around the world. And so Hina was able to be visible yet again around the world. And so let's talk about visibility, because that's one of my favorite things to do with clients. I recently had to tell somebody, you're not being seen. Why? What's the problem? What's holding you back? And we had a lovely conversation regarding that. And she has already made major changes to shift that. But, visibility is one of my favorite things, because I think when you appear, as you do, Hina, around the world, with your smile, with your voice, with your encouragement, with your writings, you make the world a brighter place. So does that come easily to you? Was that also a shift for you? If you could tell us a little bit about your visibility journey.
Yes, I used to be the person who would hide herself in a corner all the time. I was so shy. I was so, introvert. Introvert, I would say that I still am, but then I was so unconfident, that term, like I was hiding myself into a corner. And I used to say something like, in a voice that nobody should hear me. I don't want to be the center of attraction. I want to just hide myself. And then I realized it was.
And look at who I met. That's not who I met, right? Last year, that's definitely not who I met.
Yes. This was me about 10 years ago. And when I started my writing journey, I just stayed behind my books, behind my, brand. I was, getting my graphics out, getting my things out. But I was even not comfortable while putting my pictures out, my photos out. I was that, I was not so unsure about myself. And then it just, the more and more you spread your wings, the more and more you start loving yourself, knowing yourself better, and your power. Then you make it a point that, okay, you not want to be seen by people so that they get inspired. Because, of course, our community is, represents somebody you were before, who I was 10, 20 years ago. That's my ideal client. So this, these people make the community. So this is like the more and more I am visible to these people, the more and more I can inspire them, the more and more I can share my journey with them. So that's why it's so important to be visible. And for that, first is that you know your power, you know yourself. The reason people don't go visible much as, based on my experience too, because they don't know their power. They are so unsure of themselves. They don't know that if what they are saying would ever impact anybody, or they perhaps think that who am I to talk about it, or who's going to hear me out, and stuff like that. So it's important that you be yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You can be imperfect. You can mess up. You can goof up at times, but just be there. Just stand up there.
Yeah. And I think it's so important and so true. And I think that what I see is this one size fits all world that we're kind of begged to be a part of. Look this way, walk this way, talk this way, think this way, buy these products. You have to have whatever the marketing is, and ironically, I come from the fashion industry and was a part of that. But, being unique and being able to show up imperfectly perfect, and whatever that is, because that's where the happiness and the joy comes from, and the gratitude and the real being alive, I think, kind of sensation versus being muffled or smothered to be something other than who we are. So I think you said that absolutely eloquently as always, because when we do know ourselves, it's easier to appear. And I had a conversation with a client just yesterday about her missing pieces, like things that she gave up about herself, her as a person, as a woman, starting from childhood, where there was a narcissistic parent, well, maybe two, or narcissistic tendencies for both parents. And she was always trying to please them, to get their attention, just like any little child would. Like when your niece and nephew were younger, they might be dancing for attention or whatever, telling a funny joke, a story, singing for you. And, it was just heartbreaking how much, because I said, something about how many pieces. She's like, so many I can't even count. And I said, I think that's where the fear comes in of that visibility, right? Because if you feel like you're unwhole, you feel like you have holes in you where people can push your buttons or pick at you or nitpick, then it's hard to be visible, right? You can't appear. So yeah, when we know ourselves and we have those pieces back, I think it becomes so easy. So that is very funny that you say maybe still an introvert. You're not the first podcaster that I've spent time with who's told me the same thing, which you have a voice around the world. And so that makes me laugh and say, Hina, how is that even possible? How is that even possible? Are you telling me the truth? And I know you are, because I know you wouldn't be.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth entirely. Why? Because I still love my own company. I still love to travel solo.
Yes.
I still need that time with my own self. So it's not about confidence. It's not about self-esteem or stuff like that. It's about whenever you want, you can make friends, you can start the conversation with strangers, you can do everything of that. But then you can't do that all day long.
No.
That does not energize me.
Right. No, and I love meeting new people. I've never met a stranger. I'm like you. I love talking to everybody because I think I find people interesting and fascinating, and I think you do, especially as a solo traveler. I know we've had that conversation, and but it's true. Even myself as an extrovert, I need to make sure I balance that, because otherwise you become so tired.
Yes.
You're like on the outside all the time, and then there is nothing left on the inside. It's like my battery has drained,
Yeah.
And I think that comes also, with knowing yourself so well. You mentioned that just a little bit ago. The more we know ourselves, that what I call an inside journey. So how or when did you start that journey to really get to know yourself?
I think that when I started experiencing problems in my, in my life, like firstly, I was not able to fit in because the society wants you to be a certain way, to behave a certain way, especially being in India, a woman is expected certain things. And I have this, I would say that this is the quality that I love about myself, is that I can't stay stuck.
Yeah, I love that about you too.
I can't stay stuck. And the moment I feel that I'm stuck, I will do everything in my capacity to come out of that situation. And I think last time when I came on your show, I talked about it, that when I became a job hopper because I was not enjoying my jobs. So I would work for a month and then I would not enjoy it and then I would leave it. And then it just continued, and everybody was very convinced that this girl is not going to do anything. She's not taking her career seriously. She's good for nothing. And I was compared to my siblings who were doing really, really well in their careers, and my cousins. And then I'm like, my God, I'm not enjoying it. Why should I be there? And then I decided to not stay in a married relationship kind of stuff. So that was again I think I have been a rule breaker all my life. Like I have broken rules all the time. And then I also talked about that I've stopped following my religion because I believe in spirituality.
Yeah.
So So all that. So then I started knowing about myself that, okay, who am I, who I am and
Yeah.
what do I want from life. So as you just go on, it's just a whole journey, it's a whole journey. Like it starts very early, but then initially you move on that path one step at a time. And
Right.
then when you are, when you have taken several steps, then you take a big leap. So this is what happened to me. Like initially it was just small, tiny steps I was just going on. And then I realized that, okay, now I know myself much better
Yeah.
than that. Now it's a time to take, jump off. So then I did a lot of things and I started knowing myself. And that gave me that surety about myself that, okay, I can be imperfect. I can be awesome with my flaws, right? So
Yes.
when you own your flaws as well as your awesomeness, then you can dare to become more visible. Then you
Right.
are not scared of anything because you don't have that fear to be just like you don't have to be perfect, right?
Right. And I think that's, um, one of the things that's so important is even my husband sometimes I can see him think like I'll ask him a question and I just want to know, how do you feel about XYZ? I don't know, this restaurant, going here, whatever. And I can see him, he starts the unibrow, the eyes really focus because he wants to please me with his answer. He's like thinking, what's the right answer? And I'm like, there is no right answer. There's
Yeah.
no right answer. It's what do you feel about whatever, and it makes me laugh because this is a grown man, this is not
Yeah.
a 5-year-old child. And it happens not just to him, but it happens to men and women. And I think that instead of having the perfect answer or the perfect office setting or the perfect podcast, I've seen people also hesitate, like I can't release whatever it is they're working on till it's perfect. And then it never gets released, right? And you're like, but the world needs to hear this, or the world needs to see this, or there are people, like you were saying, the community is waiting for whatever the message that is. And so I think that was, such a strong, important point to talk about that. I love it. I wrote it down. We can be awesome with our flaws.
Yes.
And I think that when we do that, I think then we give permission to others to do the same. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. This is the beautiful thing that you just said, that when we go through that, like when we can do that with ourselves and with others, others
yeah,
can also do it with us, right? And with
yeah,
themselves too. Yeah. So this is like leading by example, and also like when we have that kind of expectation for others to be themselves and we be ourselves, then I think we are operating on an aligned level.
yes. I mean, and we mentioned spirituality before, but from a place of love and compassion, right? So if I can be understanding that, and knowing that I'm not expecting somebody to be perfect and perfect 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of their life, and that they have the same understanding and expectation of me, then it's just this freedom, I think, that naturally happens, and the fear disappears. Visibility becomes fun, exciting. And I think for me, I'm going to use the word, we stretch ourselves, right? So I used to love stretching people on the mat.
Yeah.
And I always loved a good stretch myself. I still do. But, if we can stretch our way of being in the world, just the way you have it on so many levels, which I say thank you, as in, if, going from an introvert to being a renowned author, podcaster, coach, and appearing around the world, it's just amazing. I love the work you do, Hina. So
I appreciate you saying
thank you for that. You know, you make the world a better place. So let's talk about doing things that bring you fun, because that was something else you started talking about, and then I got you down a different path. But I've met some people, and I don't know if this has happened to you, where I ask them, what do you love to do? I've had a few clients who the kids have moved out of the house. Now they're empty nesters, and mom looks bored. I don't know what to do with my time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now you have freedom. Like, yeah, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't know what makes me happy anymore. Have you ever seen that?
I have a list of things that I enjoy doing. And when I'm not doing anything, I am focusing on my breath. I'm practicing my meditation, and for meditation, you don't really need to sit in a place and do that. You can walk around and you can still be in a meditative state.
Yes.
So I practice being in my body.
Yeah.
I focus on my breath. I enjoy being myself. I feel the inner energy inside of me, like, in a energy field of my body. So this is something that is when I am not having anything else to do. But then there are a lot of things, like I play guitar. I love music. I love to sing. I love to listen to music.
Yeah.
I do solo travel a lot. And I love exploring cafes. Like, I go to different cafes and I would go. Today I was on a reading spree. I took a day off and I was sitting in my favorite cafe and I was reading a book. And and I came back. I had my favorite coffee. I chit-chatted with these servers there. Yeah. And then I came back. It was such fun. Like, I was feeling so high. And then some tasks, like, for the other thing that I want to tell you is that we don't really need to work really hard.
Right.
Yeah. And when we work really hard, we forget to enjoy ourselves, right?
Yeah.
That is something that we don't want to do. So our life is very important. We are here to experience life. We are here to enjoy our life. And working hard and success in your career and money life, they have no correlation.
Right. I agree.
Exactly. Like, money is the energy, right? It comes when you know your purpose and you enjoy doing what you do. You experience your life, and it just keeps coming. So I have seen both the spectrums, right? I have seen the time when I was doing hard work like crazy people, like, because I also bought that idea from the society that everything comes with with hard work, with a lot of effort, and you have to. Then what happens that we have that fear of success because we don't want to work hard. And again, more success means more hard work. So then we fear success also. But when you know that success will not come out of hard work, you will not fear success too, right? There will not be fear of success or fear, because you're just enjoying yourself. So when you keep enjoying yourself, doing things, figuring out what you really like to do, what you really enjoy doing. Some people like to dance, some people like to, play a sport or something. So this is something that they need to figure out what gives them fun and pleasure. So when they do that, it becomes an enjoyment. And work is, of course, now I work 3 days a week.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I agree with you. That's one of the things I've been, with Purpose Possibilities and Prosecco, we do a 2-hour transformation like no other. It's very, very fast paced. Not, we don't sugarcoat anything. It's kind of like a New York style, like myself. And it's the idea of getting very quickly to the place you were talking about, where when you live your life's purpose, using your gifts and talents and fulfilling your desires for whatever that is, like music, reading, playing the guitar, I like to sit out back, which is what I was doing prior to getting on the camera with you this morning, with my mug of tea as the sun is, coming over the front of the house to the backyard. And I like to sit in prayer and meditation. That's how I love starting my day. And it's different for everybody, but I've had so many clients who have been giving to so many people, spouse, kids, office, their work, that they forget what those simple pleasures are. Like you said, sitting at a cafe with a good book and then talking with the staff there and learning different things. Maybe they have a good book they're reading and can tell you, or like we get together and you tell me, oh, well, you should meet this other podcaster. And I'm like, oh, I fell in love with her too, so, it's remembering and reconnecting with those things that really bring you joy. And they don't have to be always the same. They can change, over time.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I love that. Investing in yourself, I wanted to talk about, and then definitely about what's coming up for you. So investing in yourself is something I am definitely partake in and ask my clients to do the same. And I think you're the same. Can you tell us like what you see as, whether for you or your clients or just in general, how investing in ourselves can change our way of living, our way of being in the world?
Right. When we start investing in ourselves, like our time and our money and our resources, right?
Yeah.
As you said a few minutes ago, like a few seconds ago, that we give everything to everyone, but we forget to give to ourselves. We put ourselves last, right? So when we start investing in ourselves, we know that we are worthy of our own things. So for example, like when you start your month and you know that, okay, I would like to buy this course. I would like to learn this new skill. I would like to spend some money, on some of my luxurious things that I can, go for a lunch solo or with a friend or something that I have never done before. So when you invest in yourself by trying new experiences, okay, it can be a travel. So when you travel, you are investing in yourself, right? Your time and money entirely in yourself.
Yes.
And especially in solo travel. When you're solo traveling, you're investing everything on yourself because everything is being spent on yourself and nobody there is involved there. Nobody else. So when you are investing in those kind of experiences, in those kind of upgrading your skills, like skill upgrades, and in your pamper yourself when you go to a salon, or you can get a crazy haircut that you have never done before, and you spend some good money on that. This is like, it increases your self-worth, it increases your own belief in yourself, and your belief that, okay, you deserve it, you deserve your money first, and then so people come later, whosoever they are. So the first you come first, and then your money you deserve the most, your time you deserve the most. For example, you want to spend some time with you, just me time you can call it, but then there are a lot of people around you, they all are demanding your attention. They want you to give your attention to them. But then you need your time the most, right? So you can take that part and you can form that healthy boundary. Like, okay, Sunday, 2 hours, I'm going to spend with myself. And I'm not doing anything else. I'm not pleasing people around. So this is what I call investing in yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And it recharges our battery. The other thing I think it does is it also teaches others how to treat us. Yeah. When we know we're worthy, like you were saying about going to the hair salon, trying something different, or investing in travel, which is something Mark and I are big proponents of. Our son has definitely taken our liking. Last summer, he worked as an intern with Southwest Airlines and flew over 45,000 miles in 10 weeks with work. And then he got to fly for free on the weekends, so he was everywhere, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, anywhere he could go in the US where he could get a free seat, So, but all of those things, those experiences, they really just talking about worthiness. That's a big topic I love to talk about because I think you're right. We give to everybody else and then we're depleted or it's time for bed. There's nothing left. And to make that point, I like to put time in my calendar. I make sure that there are breaks between things that I'm doing, as best I can. Sometimes I finish one thing and I go to the next, but I need a little bit of like me time between podcasting and a client, between being a guest on somebody's show and doing whatever the next thing is for myself. And, building, whether it's 2 hours on a Sunday, my mini breaks during the day to go outside, drink my water, walk in the sunshine, whatever that might be. It's really, really valuable. And it allows others to see that we're taking care of ourselves. Like you said, your money first for you, then, you give. And time and energy are valuable resources, money as well. So, Hina, I know that you have always something fabulous in the works, and I know it's called Chasing Desires. My journey from shame to glory, which, is leaving me on the edge of my seat because it's just so fabulous. And you had said that bringing this book out is the bravest thing you could ever do in your entire lifetime. And I commend you for being brave and being courageous and, allowing yourself to tell your story in such a way that I know it's going to empower many, and I don't want to say women, many men and women around the world. So can you share with us maybe a little the inside scoop? Again, the book is called Chasing Desires, My Journey from Shame to Glory.
Okay, I would like to say that thank you for asking this question. When I used to write a diary. And it was titled Chasing Desires. It was long ago, like when I was not a writer, I had not written any books. I was just doing a corporate job. It was early years of my, corporate days. Then I used to write this diary and I used to call it Chasing Desires because I had some desires and I was just, on that path to achieve those. And afterwards, like when I completed writing my 5 books, like I think 5 books, yes. The next one, I thought that what I would like to share with the world and what is it that I would like to talk about now. Then I thought that the way most of the people, they are not comfortable in their own skin, right? Because
it happens.
It looks very extreme, or it may sound extreme, but then they are not, they are perhaps hating themselves from the inside. This is what I would like to say. A lot of people, of course, not everybody. So It's like when we have self-doubt, we are hating some parts of us. This which we want to hide from the world. Yeah. So, and I was also in the same boat. I also was hiding a lot because in the quest of showing up as perfect, you hide a lot of your additional aspects that otherwise you would not. So then I thought that when I was hating myself so much for some reasons that happened in my childhood. This is what I would be revealing for the first time in this book. And then because that nothing was, it was not my fault whatever happened.
Yeah.
And I would not like to go into detail about it, though I'm very,
Yeah.
I'm very keen to do that, but still I think it's not the right time to do that.
Right.
When I was hating myself for no reason of mine. So this is just my story of, falling in love with myself when I was, after hating me long enough for no fault of mine. This is what I love to say it as, that why I was hating myself and what made me love myself. And this is something that I think most people would relate with. And it's all about owning your flaws. It's about owning that the fact that you are not perfect. Your childhood was not perfect. Your parents were not perfect. You have not lived a perfect life. You have made a lot of mistakes, but still you are so wonderful.
Yes.
So when you love yourself the way you are, with all your flaws, with all your mistakes, with all your bad side, gray side, that is something, such an awesome feeling that you love yourself the most in this world. So this is the whole journey, and this is not a self-help book. I'm not telling that people have what to do to make their life a certain way. It's just that I'm just narrating my story and how I was feeling at each stage of my life. And it was, of course, difficult. It was very challenging, and it was full of shame and guilt. But then how it turned around, that's the whole thing. That's what I'm talking for the first time ever in my life. So that's why I'm saying it's my journey from shame to glory.
Yeah. And that's I think what you've told us, a lot of people can relate to very quickly, easily, whether it was themselves or maybe a loved one who has a similar, story. And again, when we are able to share that journey with others, it gives others the permission to do the same. So as you were writing, was it cathartic, like freeing? I mean, how did it feel for you to be able to start like really putting this down on paper? I think solidifies things, right? Instead of it being like in your head or in your physical body, like what you went through. But like during that process, how was it, Hina?
It was very difficult. It was a liberating process, though, because each time you are living in the past moments, like the kind of scenarios that you have lived, and you are living it once again with full awareness and consciousness, it's leaving you. So it's yes, it's about inspiring people, but it's more of liberating myself. When I share this, and if you know about, and of course you know about that, like throat chakra, that it's we have chakras in our body, so in our energy point. So the throat chakra. So when we are able to tell our truth, our chakras open.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a very liberating process for me. Yes. It's the what do I call it? I fear that my family may be disappointed. I fear that it may break a few hearts. But then this is my truth. And I want to say this. Yeah. It's very liberating for me, and it would definitely inspire other people to own their stories too. But then for me, it's very liberating. So I would say that I'm doing it for my own reason first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you, I want to say, like, we're able to tackle that, right? Because some people, because it takes energy to, and wherewithal, like you said, you feel it with your whole consciousness, and, things that when we go back, it triggers other things. I had this conversation with someone last week or 2 weeks ago, where something happened and it triggered her as a 7-year-old. And I could quickly see that she was about 5 to 7 years old, like a kindergartner to second grade, not a toddler, but not a middle schooler either. And I had to say, hey, I'm seeing something, like all of a sudden you went from this adult to like a different voice, a different mannerisms. It totally just, brought her to a different place. And I think there are triggers at times that do that. I know it used to be for me the sirens of an ambulance, fire truck, or police car here in the United States. That sound would trigger me with tears because when Mark was sick, I spent so many nights sleeping in the hospital on the floor in a very uncomfortable chair. That's why I then went to the floor. I figured out how to make myself a mattress as I stockpiled blankets, and towels, but, and coats, his coat. But now that's not happening. But the other day, a medevac helicopter flew over us and landed at the hospital across the street diagonally. And all of a sudden, Mark's like, what are you doing? I said, hold on. I was just triggered, I had to wipe my eyes because the tears were coming because when Mark was ill, we were at a trauma level 4 hospital. So the medevac was going all the time with different car accidents, gunshot wounds, you name it, or super sick people. And, so I know just from that little experience that, yeah, sure, sitting there and writing that. But I'm so happy that, opening that throat chakra is so important. Not with you, but with a dear friend, Michelle Schmidt, we did an episode about how so many women during COVID and now after COVID are having problems with things related to the throat chakra, thyroid, I can't even go down the list, but how that time in our life changed what was going on for so many people. And now I'm clearing my throat. But with your throat chakra being now, I want to say wide open, I think it was open before as a podcaster. What are you noticing, Hina? What has shifted or changed for you?
A lot has shifted inside of me, which is showing up in my inner energy and in my outer results, external results.
Yeah.
I can see that a lot happening, a lot of more opportunities, a lot of different results, a lot of prosperity. And I procrastinated my US visa for years. I told you about this. And now finally I could do it.
Yes, I know. I'm so
Next week I'm flying to Thailand for my US visa appointment. So I'm going to see that country. And after COVID, I think after COVID, this is my first international trip to Thailand. Yeah. And then, of course, if I get the visa, I'm keeping my fingers crossed in America.
Yes.
So a lot is changing, and my travel has so much increased. Like now I am traveling, I think 4 or 5 times every year. So so a lot of things externally have changed. Now I'm not doing much of the hard work and things are just coming to me seamlessly. Everything just changed. When your chakras start functioning smoothly and properly, your external results change. This is the power of yoga.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's so true. I think when we align properly, other people appear to help us. Opportunities present themselves. We're in a place where we can see clearly these great opportunities and say yes because we're comfortable with, well, like we said earlier, stretching ourselves. Yes, I am just overjoyed for you. I am so excited. Again, the name of the book is Chasing Desires, My Journey from Shame to Glory. And why don't
Yeah.
you tell us, Hina, how they can go ahead and start, I think, pre-ordering. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. People can pre-order it, and when they pre-order it, I'm sending them gifts worth over $500 now. The book is coming out on September 5th,
Yes.
and but then they can pre-order it on Amazon, and
Mm-hmm.
it's available there. And they just need to send us the receipt of the purchase, and we are going to send them some really cool gifts worth over $500. So I just request them to go ahead and buy the book, pre-order the book, and it's going to be so much worth of your time.
Yeah. Awesome. And you can find all of Hina's information below. Thank you, Hina, for being with me again. It's always a delight to see you. I can't wait. My fingers are crossed as well that you get that visa and that you're able to come visit me here in California, because I'd love to have you in person instead of through the camera. But thank you again. It's delightful to always be in your presence, to see how your energy is helping people around the world, how your voice, your writings, your appearance being visible, and especially aligning so beautifully with who you were born to be, and sharing even when we're not, quote unquote, perfect, what others think is perfect, you know? So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the invitation once again. It's such a wonderful, wonderful experience with you again. And I always look forward to meeting you, because you know that this is a wonderful, wonderful association of two of us. Thank you very much. And I really, really enjoy talking to you once again. Thank you very much. And I'm also looking forward to seeing you very, very soon in person.
Yes, absolutely. Until next time, be exquisite.